politics in the United States of America. The left has gotten really left, and the right has gotten really right. Everyone's towing the line, and we're getting nowhere. Fast. This is the Rational American. The Rational American. Common sense has gone out the window, and our passion is to open eyes in hopes that people will take a rational look at what America is actually becoming. Put your feelings aside and let's get real. This is the Rational American, and this is your host, Steve Oatley.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the show. No, my mic button is not on. I did see your comment. Today is Sunday, September 21st, 6:43 p.m., and I know you're probably like, Steve, why are you doing a show on Sunday? You never do. I think I hit wit's end today. Like, I literally started talking very impassionate to my wife about everything that's going on, and she's like, so what are you going to do about it? And I'm like, I don't know. Here's the thing. With this J.R. Majewski story that's been going on and that we've been covering, we wrote an article today on Citizen Stringer. I wrote an article and published it on Citizen Stringer, and I encourage all of you guys to share it. Because Business Insider wrote a hit piece on Friday night about J.R. Majewski, and I talked about it yesterday, about J.R. Majewski's service records and how the AP is basically taking some information that's not in his service records and then calling him a liar. And accusing him of stolen valor. Sitting congressmen have done it. The congressman from, I think is from California or Texas or something. The Ruben G, I forgot his name, Democrat congressman, said it's stolen valor. Eric Swalwell, said stolen valor. All this stuff about J.R. Majewski, and it's something that just really, really ticked me off. The more that I started reading it, and the more I started reading comments, and the more that people would contact me, verified journalists would contact me about things that I posted online. And I'm like, listen, it's super easy to find out. Just Google it. Google it. Business Insider published the article. We reached out to both the Business Insider journalists, plus all the editors with Business Insider to see if they're going to fix their story, because they left out one specific thing in each of the medals that they talked about. And I'm essentially going to read you the article because it's very frustrating how everything goes. And just how they're doing this to this guy. And granted, it happens all the time. We know that. They go after politicians. They go after people on the right. And they'll ignore things on the left that fit that very same, check mark, and I always say that it's check marks, right? Mass shooting, it's check marks. They only cover it if it fits a certain set of standards. Right now they're up in arms because apparently this morning a Pride Center in San Francisco or something was vandalized. What about all the pregnancy centers that were vandalized for months? Yesterday morning, they raided the home of a preacher for defending his 12-year-old child when he was, doing street advocacy against abortions, which I'm not a big fan of either. I'm not a big fan of people going out and chastising people that are walking in to do something horrible anyway. I've never been a big fan of that. But apparently an old man was harassing his kid, so he pushed him. So you know what the FBI did? Even though the state wasn't going to press any charges against him, the FBI stormed his home yesterday morning with 30 heavily armed FBI agents and arrested him at gunpoint with rifles drawn while his 7 kids watched on. And that was for a physical confrontation that happened between 2 adults in front of a pregnancy center. They threw Molotov cocktails inside buildings, inside pregnancy centers across America. There's been over 100 incidents where they all burned down, over 100 of them. And mainstream media is silent. And that's what continues to happen. They just keep being silent about things. For example, this story that I wrote this morning, and I encourage you to see it. I don't know why it's not switching over to the correct one. It will eventually. See? So this is a story I wrote this morning, and it's on citizenstringer.com. It's a headline article, and all of you guys can go check. Business Insider reporters admit crucial facts on hit piece on Ohio GOP candidate in an effort to influence Ohio midterm election results. There is no other defining factor of why they did this except if they were trying to influence voters to not vote for him. because they left out very specific, very crucial information. And I'm going to go through it because it's something that everybody has to see. It doesn't matter who you are or where you align politically. You have to understand that the way journalists report things in 2022 is full of lies. It's full of lies. And you can see, if you follow me on Twitter, I've been all over any verified account that tweets this out, that tweets out this article and said, hey, look at the dates. Look at the dates when the awards were first awarded. Nobody wants to do it. So let's jump into this. This week, news outlets across the country have been reporting on Trump-endorsed J.R. Majewski's military service record and whether or not he is a combat veteran. On Friday, Business Insider became the latest to publish a hit piece questioning Majewski's veteran status. According to the Majewski campaign and military documents leaked by the Associated Press, Majewski, because the Associated Press did a FOIA request for his DD-214 and other specific information. Even though it was confidential information, they then leaked it as evidence to their bullshit article, which I talked about in length yesterday. Majewski was serving in the United States Air Force, and he was deployed to Qatar in May of 2022, just 8 months after terrorists attacked the United States, killing over 2,000 civilians and first responders. According to the personal records reviewed by Citizen Stringer, including records that the AP doesn't have, Majewski was deployed in May as part of the 60th Air Mobility Operations Group with a 2T-251 MOS, where he would perform and manage air transportation activities in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. According to personal records reviewed, he served in Qatar from May 2022, May 2002 until November 2002. What he did on base was not accounted for in the AP document leak. In addition, and I'll tell you what it says here. As far as overseas deployments go, this is the leaked documents from the AP. As far as overseas deployments go, we show one deployment to Qatar in May of 2002 to November of 2002. What he did or where he may have went from that location, we don't have visibility on. So the AP published a news article saying he never went to Afghanistan, insinuating, because they didn't explicably say that, insinuating he never went to Afghanistan, basing on his military records from this FOIA request, which completely say the opposite. It says, again, verbatim, what he did or where he may have went from that location, we don't have visibility on. So the only person so far that's provided any context into this whole situation is J.R. Majewski himself, where he says he was stationed in Qatar. He did multiple missions into Afghanistan. And this is in the beginning of Operation Enduring Freedom. I don't even know if it was under that name at this point. This is, again, 8 months after September 11th. They didn't have, Qatar wasn't all built up yet. You know, the bases there, they had two bases. They weren't all built up yet. From what I understand from looking at news reports, they had one big base with a tent, or one big tent set up there. But it goes on, the thing that's crazy is, so, you know, that in itself, the actual information that was released by the AP that they leaked out, including his personal records and his DD-214, contradicts their own story, but yet mainstream media and all these left-wing nutbags are not willing to actually go out there and say, hey, this is what the actual truth is. Look at the actual documents. It's the same thing with the Business Insider article. Majewski claims he ran several missions in Afghanistan in support of Operation Enduring Freedom, which, according to military veterans that we've spoke to, that's exactly what would take place. Those, you know, the whatever his MOS was, I had it written down in the article, the 2T-251 MOS, that's what they would do. They would load the planes, they would fly them, or get to the destination wherever, whether it was a forward operating base, whether it was another big base, whether it was a base in Afghanistan, or wherever the hell they would fly to, and they would offload gear, supplies, all that stuff, and that's what they did. That was what their MOS was. But it doesn't matter. Mainstream media only cares. They said, oh, he's loading passengers in Qatar, as if that's the only thing that MOS did. Okay, and everyone can do this. You can look up 2T-251 as the MOS. I think it's like mos.org or something like that. You can go to the website, and they have all sorts of things. Or you can look up the 60 Air Mobility Operations Group. They have YouTube videos of exactly what they do and what they do in war. And it's weird, right? Because there's videos on YouTube of this same Air Mobility Operations Group in Afghanistan. There's videos on social media of them transporting shit from Qatar all the way to Afghanistan. The dates don't line up, so I can't make a connection there. They're newer videos. But they don't care. They don't care. So Business Insider questioned whether or not he was even whether or not he even did any trips to Afghanistan. And this is how they did it. They said, well, his DD-214 didn't have any commendations related to the war, any specialty combat ribbons or medals or anything like that, right? So they argued that if he had served in Afghanistan, and this is a quote, he would almost certainly be a recipient of the combat action ribbon, which is false. And you know why it's false? Because everybody that served from 2001 until, the end, that went into Afghanistan with the airmen, it was the Air Force Combat Action Ribbon, they all were eligible for it, but they didn't get it in a certain time. You know why? Because the first award didn't even go out until June 12th, 2007. That was the day the award wasn't even created until 2005. It was first awarded in 2007. Guess what? Guess what year J.R. Majewski left the Air Force? 2003. So how is he supposed to get this ribbon, right? There is a process in place. An airman or Army sergeant or anybody that wants to get one of these ribbons that are retroactive from the beginning of the war, guess what happens? Guess what happens to them? They have to fill out a shit ton of paperwork, have their DD-214 updated, get the accommodation and all that, and who knows how long it takes. And this is also backed up by JR's press conference that he did the day after this news broke, because he said, I could have got the medals, I could have got the ribbons, I just didn't file the paperwork. If you look at my comments yesterday on yesterday's video, we have people on YouTube that watch this show that were veterans that served overseas that also didn't have this because they just didn't do the paperwork. They got out before the award was given and they don't care. To them, it's they're not going to go through the hassle of submitting all the paperwork for whatever reason. But so Business Insider, here's the thing. When you do a tiny bit of research, literally everybody should do this. Just shows you how bad mainstream media is. Google Air Force Combat Action Ribbon. Okay, on the very first page on the left-hand side on a Google, it's going to say the day the award was first given out. It's going to verify the date that I just said, which means that he wouldn't, even though he would have been eligible for that ribbon, it wouldn't have been documented on his DD-214 unless 4 years after he got out of service, he decided to file the paperwork because that ribbon held some sort of symbolism to him. Even though it was retroactive and he may or may not have qualified for that, he would have had to do extra paperwork after he left the military, but that's fine. And so that's a first falsehood in this Business Insider article. But then they go on. They don't stop there. That's the craziest thing. They further questioned his service overseas, writing significant service in Afghanistan would have resulted in earning the Afghanistan Campaign Medal. This is also false. While service members would be required to have spent over 30 consecutive days in Afghanistan in order to qualify for this medal, the medal was also not available to Majewski during his departure from service, meaning this medal wasn't even given out until 2005. He left service in 2003. So Business Insider, again, reporting something which is true. He could have got the medal. He didn't file paperwork for it after he was already out of the service. So by them leaving out that crucial bit of information, that one sentence saying it's not on his record, we don't know if he filed paperwork to have that accommodation after because it was retroactive. They left that out deliberately. And I contacted both of the writers with Business Insider and virtually every single editor with Business Insider that I could get an email to. Not a single one would reply. And I was like, okay, don't even reply, right? Because I was pissed in the art. So I asked them if they deliberately left out that information in order to do a hit piece. None of them replied to me. I then looked on the article this morning and I was like, they must have, by this, right? You have all this information out there now. They must have just did a simple fact check, right? And maybe amended their article to put these dates in there. Because you could still write a hit piece. Everyone only reads the title of an article. Nobody actually reads the articles anymore. You know what I mean? Oh, people only read the title. So maybe they did. This was my way of thinking, because this is what a journalist with integrity would do, is they would go into the article and they would be like, hey, we have to put the dates in here. That little smartass from Virginia pointed it out that we deliberately left them out. So we have to put the dates in here. Otherwise, people are going to call us out for it. Well, guess what? Nobody called them out for it because we are so small that they don't, we don't have the reach that we should. And so nobody calls them out for it and they don't do anything. But here's the thing. Here's the craziest thing. There were 3 medals that they all said, and this is disproving his service record. So the third medal, they go on to write that if Majewski truly served in Afghanistan, he would have received the Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary, I can't say that word, medal, which they write is given to troops, including air crews who have deployed abroad in support of Iraq or Afghanistan wars and served at least 30 days in that deployment. They go on to write that the award is common among veterans who served in Afghanistan and Iraq wars, and public data shows Majewski worked as an airman who supported passenger loading and unloading in Qatar in support of various wars. Business Insider again left out crucial information regarding this medal as well. This medal, like the previous 2 medals and ribbons, was first awarded in 2004, which is a full year after he left the Air Force. He would have had to go through the very same process. He would have had to dig into it. He would have had to fill out paperwork. He would have had his request that his DD 214 be updated and do all that paperwork. Again, it's very important that everyone understands. He answered this in his press conference on Friday. He said he didn't do the paperwork. He never thought he would need to. He never thought his veteran status would be challenged by bonehead nerds that sit behind computers every day. I don't blame him, because most people, when you say you're a veteran, because almost everyone that I know as an adult is a veteran, except me, but almost everyone I know, all my brothers are veterans, everybody I know is a veteran, right? So it's almost a given. If someone says they're a veteran, I've never once questioned someone on what their veteran status. Sure, I've questioned whether people have been kicked out of the military and shit like that, but I've never once questioned whether someone was overseas or not, or what they said they did overseas. You know why? That's because I give veterans the benefit of the doubt, because they're fighting for our freedoms. Business Insider, the AP, and all these leftist blue check marks online that shut the hell up the second I proved this to them, the second one guy today, which is mind-blowing to me that so many veterans or self-described veterans with 22 plus years of service, this Fred guy on social media, with all this years of service in the military, would be jumping on Majewski with very, very little information. In fact, no information. The only evidence that you have that he didn't serve in Afghanistan, well, there aren't any. There's just opinions that he didn't. Because if you read the evidence and you listen to the evidence of his deployments, you understand the war and how it progressed, by just Googling it, you would understand that, okay, there's a very high likelihood that he was working in furtherance of Operation Enduring Freedom. But nobody cares. Nobody pays attention to these things. And you know what is the most frightening thing to me? So I've listened to Fox News almost religiously over the past 72 hours, seeing if they were going to talk about this, because frankly, he needs it. He's running for office. They are, and he's being attacked. He was attacked by the GOP, the airman in the AP article, the colonel, and he seems to be a well-to-do guy, working, protectourdefenders.org, all that stuff. Really nice guy, it seems, right? Why would he speak out about someone's military record based on the reports from a reporter, right? And I just couldn't figure that out, because I know plenty of military veterans, and I've talked to many of them, from Marines to Air Force to Navy to Army. All of them have the same inclination. Even people that have served and done a tremendous amount of time overseas during these wars, they all said, based on what Majewski has said, based on his DD 214 and all the readily available information, that they would consider him to be a combat veteran. So that caused me to be like, wait, why would this high-ranking retired military officer with the Air Force, why would, and especially when his specialty isn't talking about any of this, his specialty is going against prosecuting sex assault cases in the military. That was his specialty. So why would the AP cite him as like some sort of source on this, right? And why would he comment? Because I would be hard-pressed to think that they would be hard-pressed to find anybody that would be willing to comment on this, right? So I looked into his political contributions, and then it turns out, well, he's a rhino. He's supported the rhinos. He's given, maxed out his personal contributions to the GOP and to super PACs and all that stuff. So that kind of caused me to be like, wait, what the hell? Because the GOP also, the day this news broke, pulled back, Kevin McCarthy and his GOP pulled back $600,000 in ads for this guy. So the only thing I can think is this was a big collaboration between the GOP, whether it's Ohio GOP or national GOP, versus Democrats, his opposition there, the incumbent Marcy, whatever her fuck name is, and then the AP, who is working together to slander a man, a veteran, based on biased opinion. There's literally no fact in any of these articles, and you can't search J.R. Majewski's name right now and find anything positive. You can't, because everything is negative. So what is the correlation between all of this? It seems that the rhinos decided they didn't want him in here. It seems that they decided that they didn't want him in the race, and they waited. This, if you look at the actual date on this document, here's the craziest part. July 28th, and I also asked the AP reporter on Twitter, I asked, why did you sit on it for a month or 2 months? Why did you sit on this news? Why didn't you report it sooner? Why did you sit on it until the day before the ballots went out to active duty military, absentee ballots? Why did you sit on it when we're only 45 days away from the midterms? Of course, they don't respond anyway, because nobody will actually be forthright and honest about anything anymore. In fact, they will go out of their way to not be honest. To not be honest. People question the APs. They put out this information, right? This document, which, and I'm not going to show his personal information, but this document, right? They put this out here as proof that he didn't serve in Afghanistan. In fact, the only question, this actually proves that he may have. Because, and it proves that what he said in terms of some of the missions that he was deployed on were classified, so he can't speak on it, and prove that he was actually over there. And I have, you know, there's going to be people coming forward in the future, I believe, that are going to do more to verify this. But the problem is this, all this negative shit is already out. It's already out. This article that the AP released actually proves that he may have been in Afghanistan. But nobody wants to see it that way. Everyone's like, well, it doesn't explicitly say that he served in Afghanistan. It shows that he was deployed to Qatar, not Afghanistan. So we are just going to assume that he wasn't in Afghanistan. We're going to write a whole big article on it. We're going to use our blue checkmark powers, and we're going to go out and smear the good name of this guy, regardless of whether or not he actually served in Afghanistan. And I suspect in a few days, evidence is going to come out that he did, in fact, serve in Afghanistan. And just like Russiagate, just like everything else, there's going to be no penalty for these reporters who consistently and repeatedly lie, who consistently and repeatedly make up the news. That's always how they do it. And that's always how they're going to do it. And I'm not going to stop reporting. And you know what? I did for a little bit. And that's why the title of the video is what it is. Because for a while, I took out everything else. I wasn't writing news articles anymore. I wasn't digging into news stories. I was just trying to do a show, trying to manage the coffee company, do all that stuff, trying to grow the coffee company, and just work on these shows. For one, I don't like it. Two, I like how I got pissed off about this, right? I like how I was talking to my wife about it, and then talking in detail with her, talking to other veterans, you know, Marine veterans, Army veterans, talking to them about this thing and having them be like, holy shit, how come this news isn't out there? And I'm like, I don't know. And they're like, well, and then my wife, today, I was pissed off about it. And I'm like, I wrote the Business Insider article and I was like, this isn't enough. And she said, what are you going to do about it? And I said, all right, got you. And so I'm going to go back, and what I'm going to do from now on, and this isn't a pledge or anything, this is what I'm going to do, is I'm going to hammer every single news article. I don't give a shit if a Republican writes it or a Democrat or left-leaning or right-leaning news article, and we're going to go back to what Citizen Stringer was supposed to be when I started it, a place where you could turn to actually get the news. A place where you can turn to where you're not going to get full of bias. Yes, this show, I'm going to have a conservative bias. I'm a conservative. But when you go to Citizen Stringer, you shouldn't be flooded with, conspiracy theories and all that shit. No, what you should be flooded with is news and the actual honest truth about it. And I'm going to do my best to take every single one of these liberal journalists that reportedly or repeatedly lie to everybody about everything. And I'm going to do my best to put them on a pedestal, whether it means I go and I ambush them Project Veritas style outside of the AP newsrooms or outside of their homes or whatever I got to do to find out why they're lying to the American public, because it pisses me off more than anything else, because journalists And I'm not a journalist. I'll be honest with you. I'm not a journalist. I'm a business guy. I'm an executive, and that's what I am. I started this job originally in the freight and logistics section because nobody cared and nobody was reporting the honest truth. You got paid advertising passed as news in supply chain and logistics. And so I started talking about supply chain and logistics. When the riots and shit happened, I got pissed off because nobody was covering that as well. And so I started focusing on that. And so what I'm going to do now is, like, for example, here's my plan, right? So this week I'm going out to Michigan, and I'm going to cover the Trump rally that's out there, and I'm going to get a lot of specific information about this. At some point, then we got a wedding we're going to in New York City, so I'll probably do some reporting on what's going on in New York City. And then there's an event that I have an opportunity to go to at Mar-a-Lago, which we need your support for. That's why this is here. But I have an opportunity to go to an event in Mar-a-Lago, which I would like to do, which is later on next month. And then I'm going to the border because mainstream media ignores what's happening at the border. Everybody ignores. Fox News is reporting the worst of the worst of the worst. I would like to find out from the Border Patrol, from community members, from people, what it's really like there. Because we either hear two variations of it. We either hear the extreme news, right, where it's like, oh my God, they're all crossing over, they're dropping from helicopters, the world's ending. Or we hear there's no problem down there and there's no problem at our border. Those are the two things. So I want to find out what's really going on. Everyone talks about inflation and all this shit all the time, right? And the left is like, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. So what? You got to pay more for your gas. So the right's like, oh my God, recession. Well, the world's ending. War, whatever the fuck they're doing all the time. And so I'm going to hammer out these news articles, whether it's through street interviews, whether it's through whatever I got to do. But I'm tired of sitting back and bitching about the news being so one-sided or two-sided, because that's really what it is. It's two-sided, but none of it actually aligns with what Americans should care about. Do you know what I mean? The news that you get, it's either heavily slanted to the left or heavily slanted to the right. And you're trying to say what is real or not. Like everyone with this. And I feel so bad for J.R. Majewski. And granted, I'm personally vested in this as well because I met this guy and I really like him. But they're slandering him. They're like the slander. And even when you disprove someone, they don't care. They ghost you. They don't say anything else about it. They talk privately amongst themselves. They tweet out more tweets that are negative, even though they know now there's questions about it. They don't care. And that's what it seems that media has become. It's become an extremely powerful thing, a very powerful thing. And so this is what I'm going to do. And I need your support to do it, okay? Things have dried up. The YouTube super chats and all that shit have dried up. So what I'm going to be doing is something different. Citizen Stringer is a for-profit news organization, but we are going to be the most transparent news organization ever. All the contributions that go to this page or that go here, you can see a Freight Broker Live on Cash App, Steve Oatley on Venmo, or the PayPal me email, whatever, link there. And they're also in the description of this video. Or you can go to citizenstringer.com/support. So what we're going to do is we're going to provide a full transparency of what everything costs, from maintaining the website to what we're spending on hotels when we're traveling, fuel, everything. Because a lot of people think that I'm just some super rich guy that sits here and makes a show and blah, blah, blah. And no, everything is hard for everybody, and I want to go out and do this, but I can't do it unless you guys help support that side of it. And I'm going to do it anyway, whether or not. I'll go drive Uber at night. I'm not even joking. That's how dire things have become, where I was thinking about driving Uber at night, not just because it, make extra money. No, because I would be able to have conversations with people about what's going on and push real news on them. But if you want to support us, and I beg of everyone that's watching to support us, please do. In order for the Mar-a-Lago thing, that's a fundraiser for J.R. Majewski at Mar-a-Lago on later in the month. And obviously, I got to make a political contribution to be able to go attend that. And I'm going to do that personally. And if you guys want to support that, all into the same thing, but the border trip, going down to the border, anything like that, I need your support. And if you want, the video, it sucks, dude. I hate doing it like this. We used to push the coffee side, and then the same thing happens with the coffee. The cost of our coffee has gone up dramatically. We're not even making as much money as we were on shirts or anything because everything costs more. Shipping costs more. Everything costs more because of inflation. So we're working. I don't really want people to make a lot of orders on the coffee site because I need to get caught up once and for all on the coffee site. What I need is for people to make contributions here, and hell, I'll run a ticker on the bottom of any live streams we do or any footage or special thank you title pages for people that contribute. But I need your help because I'm so frustrated, and just as I think all of you guys are, because this is crazy. It's crazy. What's going on in this country is crazy, and the fact that mainstream media can reportedly just lie and get away with it. Even when they're caught, they don't even care. They just get away with it and it doesn't matter to them. And all the people that share out these articles, it doesn't matter to them. I heard one person today, a verified account on social media, said that this man, that Catholic preacher that was doing the street counseling or whatever in front of a Planned Parenthood abortion center, which I disagree with, okay? Even though I'm not pro-abortion, I disagree with going out there and yelling, and trying to, and holding pictures of, decapitated babies and all that. I don't agree with doing that at all. But this guy was out there and it's his right to go out there and do it. He was out there with his kids and he's doing his street preaching stuff. And he was accosted by some old man and he pushed the old man and he was charged on the state level. The state declined to press any charges on him. And so the federal government, Biden's Department of Justice, even after 120 pregnancy centers across America were firebombed and vandalized, they decided to raid the home of this Catholic father of 7 at 5 o'clock in the morning, beating on his door with loudspeakers and spotlights and all that stuff. And it's insane. It's insane. And the fact that media and some on social media are like cheering it on. Well, he shouldn't have pushed over a person. He shouldn't have done this. He shouldn't have been protesting outside. It's outrageous to me. Mainstream media will talk about that, but they won't talk about the 18-year-old kid that was run over for being a Republican extremist. And I hate how Fox News has pivoted again. If you look on Fox News is now criticizing leftist news, liberal news outlets for not making the connection between this Republican extremism claim that the 45-year-old guy that ran him over and killed him, the 18-year-old kid, they're not making that. I guess liberal news outlets, one, are either not covering it or they're leaving out the fact that this guy killed him because he said he was a Republican extremist. Fox News the other day on Brett Baier at his 6 o'clock hour, and I tweeted about it right after because I'm like, this is fucking insane. Because Brett Baier on Fox News said there was no political ideology involved in the murder of this kid, even though during the 911 call where the guy called and said, I just ran over this kid because he was a Republican extremist. So Fox News is full of shit too. They were waiting on to see whether they could hype that up, whether enough people were going to be, they probably went in front of what are those focus groups and shit to see if they could just put that out there. And I heard today when I was driving into the office, I heard today they were still debating it, saying, well, the police are saying there's no political motivation. And then other people are like, well, he's saying it. And then the other commentators are like, well, he could have been nuts and that could have been an excuse of his. And as if that's some sort of justification for why you'd even, talk about it. And it's insane. It's insane. And nobody seems to care. Nobody does at all. And Fox News will criticize the liberal news outlets while they're doing the very same thing themselves. It's the most outrageous shit that you've ever heard. And it's every day. Every day. Like right now, there's a news article out of San Francisco, California. A firefighter apparently wore a shirt that says, "Let's go Brandon," when he was attending to people. The outrage on Twitter is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. He was on duty yesterday morning and he had a shirt that said, "Let's go Brandon," written across the back. One man saw the firefighter wearing the shirt, took photos and posted them on Twitter. And then you could read all the Twitter comments. He tagged the mayor, London Breed, District 8 supervisor, and a bunch of other people and said, "Is this the new uniform?" The fire department said, "This will be handled immediately. Thanks for bringing it to our attention." When these people wore Black Lives Matter shirts down the street, Black Lives Matter, people were burning down buildings and killing people because of Black Lives Matter. But you're literally allowed to have that in schools. You're allowed to wear it to work. There's been lawsuits about it, and that's okay. But wearing a shirt that says, "Let's go Brandon," they say it's a conservative thing. In fact, it was said first by a liberal journalist. But now the left is going after a firefighter, a first responder, because they wore a Let's Go Brandon shirt. You don't know. We don't know the scenario behind this. I have no idea. And it's crazy. See, the San Francisco Fire Department media official account said it will be handled immediately. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. What's going to happen to this firefighter? Is he going to lose his job? Is he going to, lose everything because this is now what they do? I don't know. Anyone know, any marketing experts know how to get Black Rifle Coffee off of ads off of my website? Because I don't know how to do that. And I hate them. They're woke as fuck. They're the whole reason I started my coffee company in the first place. But I forgot to turn down the air in here. So right now it's like 78 degrees. That's why I'm sweating. But this stuff, and I don't know what it was. It was almost like a wake-up call to me this morning because everything else kind of took precedent in my life recently. I started focusing on the shirts, started focusing more on commentary instead of news, which is what I do this for. You know what I mean? I'm reading all the news, and if there was an article that seemed relevant, I'd kick it to April and have her write it or something like that. Now, I'm getting back. You're going to see a shit ton of articles every day written by me that are going to call out this hypocrisy or are going to talk about a news story that I believe you should read. And the only thing I ask is, one, you contribute financially if you can, which is all those links right there. And secondly, you share the shit out of our articles. Because we have a low distribution. We don't pay like all the other news outlets. That's why you're not going to see sponsored posts next to any of our news articles. No, we publish the articles and hope that you guys share them like you used to. And this is what we're going to do. But if you want to support us and you want to support the quest for real news, I desperately need your help. And you could do that via the links right here, the Cash Apps. They're all in the description of the video as well. If you're watching this later on repeat on YouTube or Facebook, the links are still in the description. You could send it 24/7. And starting tomorrow, I will put like the total amount we've raised, where the money is going and all that. Because a lot of people think that, we're just super rich and we're not. None of us are. In fact, it's come so tight that I have to make concessions this week on who I'm paying. And what I'm paying and the bills I'm paying. And I don't like doing it, but we have to, and that's the problem because, if I wanted to be rich, I'd go do something else. I was a fucking executive. You know what I mean? I do this because I'm passionate about it. And I believe for a little bit, I lost that passion. I lost the passion about writing and breaking the news and writing stories that people care about. It's no wonder that the Trump rallies and shit don't give me press credentials. You Google me now, you see, sure, a Wikipedia page, you see this, but you're not seeing my news stories on the front page. You're getting cited by other news outlets. Give it 6 months. You watch. I'm going to be everywhere because we have to. People need to start paying attention to what's happening in this country and not in a partisan basis. They have to pay attention to what's happening in this country through a clear lens of this is what's really happening in this country. And that's what I'm going to do. And yeah, there's so many articles, mass shootings, there's, looting at Wawas and, shootings at Chuck E. Cheese's and all the other stuff that comes in every weekend. I think 35 people were shot in Chicago this weekend alone. And it's going to continue to be that way. You know why? Because people, the cheddar or whatever. And thank you people for doing the Cash Apps. Keep sending them. Like we are literally, I need to make $1,000 in order to go to this Mar-a-Lago thing. And I need about $2,500 to go to the border because I'm cheap, right? A lot of people need more money to do all that. No, I'm cheap because I'll drive. I don't like to fly. I'll drive down there and I'll camp out in the car if I need. But I want to go to the border and document what's going on. I want to go to small town fucking America with a camera and do interviews with people, even though I hate doing interviews. But I want to hear what people are experiencing in life because we don't see it on the media. Fox News, the closest they do is they come to and do those weekend breakfast things where they pay for the breakfast for all these people. Like this weekend, they did it wherever the hell they did it. I think Pennsylvania. And it was sponsored by all the politicians pushing their compromise with America. Right? All the GOP politicians that are going to make a bunch of promises that are never going to come to fruition. Just like every other time, it's their effort to try to swing voters, right? That's why all the and everybody's doing it. Democrats are doing it, talking about crime. There's a video that was put out by some, one of the viewers sent it to me today, a big 4.5-minute video that blamed the rising crime and the gun crime in cities, not on President Biden's lax policies and all these liberal DAs and stuff. No, they blamed it on Donald Trump and said all the rise in crime started way back with Donald Trump and it's just continued to increase because of Trump's policies that are still in effect. What policies? It's like everybody says, when Karine Jean-Pierre says, oh, it's the Trump border. That's why we're having all the issues at the border because of Donald Trump. No, Trump, we had less border crossings than pretty much we ever had with Donald Trump. They say, oh, we have more kickouts now, right? We expel more people. That's because you have more people coming in. Oh, we added 4 million jobs. You didn't add shit because we lost 9 million in the beginning. The stock market is fluctuated. The stock market has hit its lowest point in a year under Joe Biden. Everything right now is looking dire. And the crazy thing, depending on what news outlet you're paying attention to and listening to, you're not going to get a clear impression. Because and I'll be honest with you, even if you watch Fox News religiously, you're going to get a skewed version of a censored truth, a censored right view, because they're not even going to talk about anything else that could be deemed controversial. Why? Because they have advertisers. They have to be beholden to the advertisers. The whole reason why I started the coffee company in the beginning was so that we didn't have to be beholden to advertisers. So it was because we were beholden to you. And I've lost my way for a little bit, okay? And I know that, and some of you guys have said that, and I have, a little bit. Because my goal isn't to cater and do what you want. No, my goal is to be a reporter for you. Imagine you guys are all my editors. If you have a story that you want us to document, send it to us. Social@Citizen Stringer. If you have a town that you want me to go and cover, send it. Help us with some of the financial side of it if you can. And we'll go out there because for far too long we sit here and I every night I sit here and I criticize mainstream media and I criticize them for what they're not doing or what they are doing. Those fucking days are done. I'm going to replace them, and I'm not doing it tomorrow, but I'm gonna get out there and go, and even in my height of doing the riots, I had opportunities to go work for big networks. I said, fuck off. I'm not doing it. I'm staying independent because I like it. And that's where I'm at. So you're going to see a change. You're going to see I'm going to be writing a lot. Someone said a $5 challenge on Cash App to everyone yeah, but don't do it super chats and all that. Do the Cash Apps and Venmos if you want. And the links are all up there. And I mean, if everyone did $5 in the chat, that literally takes care of the next month, including all travel. And that's a travel to everywhere. Like the whole reason why we bought the house we bought and moved up here was so I could go into DC and cover events. And so I could go and do interviews. I'm watching Ford Fisher and all these other people cover the events. And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? It just like fucking hit me today. I'm like, what am I doing? I don't want people to go and buy coffee right now because I got to get caught up in those orders, and I'm going to do it this week. But I tell you, starting, this week, I'm going to be writing news articles like crazy. And then not only that is if there's a press conference in DC and I know about it within 2 hours, my camera gear is going to be in my car and I'm ready to go. And I'll go out there to those things. If there's a big story here, I'm going to go and I'm going to do it because I don't have the obligations except for Tuesdays. I don't have obligations that I used to with the dropping kids off and picking kids up. If there's a tornado that ravishes shit, I was always like, I would love to be able to go to that. Now I can, and I'm going to, So, I apologize, because a lot of you guys and the people that have sent me emails and some of you guys have said it, like, Steve, we understand why, but you're losing your focus. And I'm like, it's hard to micromanage and to do all the stuff I'm doing, which it is, but I made a decision. I talked with my wife about it and I decided coffees on Friday when I'm in town, the store, we're going to do free coffee Fridays. So every day I'll open up the store and I'll just do what I do here. I'll do at the store and we'll give away free coffee 1 day a week. Why? Because I can't do it multiple days. But I pay the rent there and might as well use the store. And so we'll do free coffee Fridays at that place. Not this Friday, but the following Friday. Because this Friday I'm going to be driving to Michigan. And we're going to do all that. Someone said, you watch Storm Chasers. I just put a heavy duty mount for my computer and all that stuff right in my car. Because, all this stuff I already had. The computers and all that stuff I already have. And I'm going to go ham on it. That's the only expression I can make. So stay tuned. If you don't follow us on Citizen Stringer, and I don't know if the notifications are on there or the email lists or anything, I'll figure that out within the next 24 hours. But we send out an email blast every morning with our headlines, and I'm going to be writing a lot more. I'm going to be writing a lot more news articles, and not to say April's not doing a good job. No. But I can't have April just write everything. That's not fair to her, especially with as tight as everything's become around here. I can't do it. So I'm going to write more. I'm going to, instead of saying, April, can you write about this? No, I'll stop what the fuck I'm doing, stop printing shirts or mugs or coffee or whatever, and I'll write the article because we have to, and we've never once not written an article because we felt like it wouldn't be appropriate or anything like that, and we're never going to do that. But I can tell you with an honest truth, I'm going to make a more concerted effort for when we write articles that they come out without the bias. Yeah, we'll do clickbait fucking headlines all we need to. And that's a new thing because we don't, I've always had a no clickbait headline. From now on, no, we'll do clickbait as fuck headlines because we need you to go in and read the article, and we need it. And so you're going to notice that too. The headlines and articles and graphics are going to change because we need you to come in and read the article. How else are you going to find out what's really going on in this country? And so that's what I'm going to do. Mary said, if you start going on the road, I'll send Venmo. Well, I'm going to be on the road this weekend. The problem is I don't have the big broadcast backpack anymore. I couldn't afford it. It was $2,500 a month. I couldn't afford to have that backpack. So you see video quality like we had this weekend. I'm going to try to remedy that by building a bonding solution myself. But again, that shit takes money and I don't have it. I don't have the extra funds right now. So, but eventually we will get that system out. Even we were working with TVU who does our channel, when we have our live stream channel on Citizen Stringer TV, that channel software, that costs a shit ton of money every month too. But we were working with them because they make that broadcast backpack. I just can't afford it. It was actually cheaper than the one we were using before. But still, I couldn't justify spending $2,000 a month on a backpack because at that time I only went out once a week or once a quarter. I didn't go out. Now we're going to go out a lot more and we'll see how it drums up. I was thinking about getting a cheap SUV for the winter, like people said, the storm chats and all that stuff. But we're going to go and I'm going to do it. And that's it. But this article that I shared in this video, before I started going off on this news thing, this video, the first part, I'm going to clip this and it's going to be put out tomorrow. And I want you guys to share it, the fact check. And I would go to citizenstringer.com right now, take that article, share it all over social media. You'll notice on social media, anyone who's been on Facebook for a long time, our distribution. So we used to have 200, 300 shares per article that we put out. Look at it now. Look at it now. And it's not because the articles aren't good. Like this article has 408 eyeballs on it already today. But if you look at the shares on social media, it's nothing. Look on our website now. And here's another way to interact. And this helps us too. On every single article, even though my screen is frozen, watch. You can't see my mouse. I don't know why. Underneath the title, you'll see where it has comments, dates, thumbs up, thumbs down, even though it shows 4 thumbs down. Who the hell would thumbs down that article? But you can see that. And if you scroll all the way down, you can leave comments. It's tied right into Facebook, or I think you can just register and leave a comment. If you're not on Facebook, I have no idea how that works. But go and do that because that also helps us and it helps engage other people, to have conversations about it. And we have that on every single article. On our video ones, you can rank them, rank the articles, pay attention to them, ask comments, share them with other people, get perspectives. I'm not saying we're right in the articles. This article, this leaves you questioning why Business Insider would leave out crucial information and the only thing you could surmise is that they were intentionally trying to meddle in Ohio's midterm election. There's no other conclusion that you could potentially get from this. Or they're just shitty reporters. And I think I put both options. Or they're just shitty reporters. And one of which is a veteran, one of the reporters. So, anyone who can help and support it, you're not gonna see a difference, Steve. Okay. You're gonna see a focused version of the old Steve where I just go hard. Like we reported on so many things. Like when we were doing the transportation logistics side, we broke news before Business Insider. They had a really good logistics writer, Rachel Premack, I think that was her name. She now works at FreightWaves, where I used to work. We broke articles before her. We broke articles before FreightWaves and all the other transportation news outlets. And when we started Freight Broker Live, we would break articles days before mainstream media would even touch it. And then we've just kind of, we tried to do video. We tried to do all this other stuff. We're going back to basics, where we just write actual news articles, and where you do your part, because it's Citizen Stringer. It's not me. It's not Steve Stringer. It's Citizen Stringer. You guys all have the ability to write. If any of you guys want to write articles, or any of you guys have something, I'm going to put a tip line. It's going to say right up on the top tomorrow. It'll say the U.S. news, U.S. politics, world news live stream. Become a member up in the title up here, which my mouse isn't working. But watch. See up here, it's going to say submit a tip. If you have a news article you want us to cover, you do this. It's going to go to all of our writers. It's going to go to me. I'll make it so it does a fucking push alert on my phone to make sure I pay attention to it. And we're going to write about, and that's what we're going to do. I appreciate you guys. I hear all the $5 super chats or $5 cash apps and Venmos, and I super appreciate it. And just keep it coming. And to anyone that I've criticized for being, when you say, Steve, you're kind of losing your focus. Your show seems like a big infomercial. You're right. And I apologize for you. And I apologize to you, not for you. But I'm getting back to it, because this weekend it woke me up. I was pissed. And my wife taunting me, she wanted to fight. That's why she's like, what are you going to do about it? And I was like, I'll tell you what I'm going to do about it. I'm going to go back and do what I intended to do when I start this thing, which is actually report the news and break the way news is reported. So welcome back. Welcome back. I'll see you guys at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning for Wake Up America. That is going to be the news show that I said it's going to be, where we just go through the headlines quick as fuck. And, tomorrow I'll be back with the Rational American tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Eastern time. And let's see what we talk about. We're setting up some big interviews in the future too. All right. Because enough is the time of me not doing interviews. We need to interview people. All right. We'll see you tomorrow.